Hello. So, I have been feeling for the last maybe week or so the urge to create a video. I'm outside, so if there are some outside noises, which I'm sure there will be, a car just drove by, then yeah, just know that's what it is. I also like to take my surroundings whenever I do a post or a recording and utilize them within the intuitive aspect of what I'm saying. So yeah, just wanted to explain that. Let's see. So throughout this week, I actually don't usually make notes before I record something. I've been recording for a long time, but this is like a newer thing for me to post what I record, so I'm still kind of finding my process. So yeah, I just wanted to explain that a little bit. And anyway, I was guided to make some notes because I had a dream recently. So my dreams are generally pretty vivid and active, and I've been recording them for years now. And now it feels like time. You can see I still get a little tongue-tied and nervous when I know that I'm going to post something. So I just wanted to be transparent with that. I'm sure over time it will lessen in terms of my nerves. But yeah, I'm excited, and so I did make some notes. So if I'm pausing, I may be referring to that. So I believe I was going to title this video or this recording Dreams and Symbols, and I wrote down quantum leap. And I know that quantum leaping, timeline shifting, timeline jumping, these are all like becoming pretty like mainstream, and I am thinking about my first like conscious, a fly just landed on my left wrist. It's tickling my arm. I've been out here for a little while and there has been 0 flies. Anyway, I'll just let it hang out. Maybe we'll see. Oh, there it goes. I gave a little buzz before it left. Yeah, so I just heard in my head buzzwords. So like I have this sometimes aversion to like buzzwords that are becoming like very talked about. And I think for a long time I was hesitant to talk about some of these topics because of that, but I realized they're coming up in the collective consciousness for a reason, and there's going to be a lot of different perspectives, and I'm realizing I don't want that to discount my own perspective. So if anyone hears this and they may be going through a similar thing, trust me, I get it like so much. And when you're ready, just taking like little steps at a time to start cultivating your own voice, and however you choose to express that, of course, whether it's one way or different ways of like artistic expression, creative expression, speaking, drawing, writing, singing, dancing, painting, research. I love researching, and for a long time I felt like if I was researching, then they weren't my own ideas and I was stealing, and then there's that whole imposter syndrome. This is not the direction I thought this was going to go in. That's why I love not pre-planning too much, because I really do just have gotten to a point where I trust what's coming through, and I love to hear that horn in the background. That's a confirmation. So yeah, imposter syndrome and research to me it's a form of really, like, for me personally, like if I have a dream about something, or I like to ask a lot of questions, when I'm in meditation, or before I'm going to bed, or when I wake up, or just whatever piques my curiosity. And then something will show up. Hear the car in the background? Exactly. Almost immediately now. And I remember when I first started really paying attention to this, I was really into quantum leaping and timeline shifting and manifestation and all that. This was probably like in 2017, 2018, and yeah, maybe 2018. And I realized like information, like, you know, when I would ask a question about something, it was like, whether, you know, I do channel as well. So sometimes it comes through my own channel, or I'll hear like certain phrases, or I'll feel certain things, and then something in the physical will show up to kind of like fill in and or confirm either what I already brought through, my own intuitive knowing, and or to expand. And I have asked the question a few times, like more than a few times, how come, you know, why doesn't everything just come through my own channel directly? Like, you know, why do I research? Because again, back to that feeling like you are, you know, imposter syndrome or stealing, etc. And it was shown to me like, you know, this is a collaborative effort, and that comes back to, you know, unity consciousness and being a part of the collective. And yeah, we talk a lot about the shadow and the unconscious collective, but there's also the, you know, heart-centered truth aspect of the collective. It may be a much smaller percentage, but if you're tuned into that, and, you know, someone that you are connected to, even if it's just energetically in the quantum field or the morphogenetic field, and they have, you know, created that, it's like, why not link your essences together and receive? And of course, I always like give credit if I'm doing that in some way, but yeah, and it really has helped me in a lot of ways. So I just wanted to share that little side note, which I heard in my head, the trusting in divine detours, and I think I just posted a video that I labeled that, which is funny. I listen to so many other posters and YouTubers, and you know, it's cool to see once you start building up your archives, how everything starts to connect. And I just started this, like, posting maybe like last week, and I already feel like the connector points like coming together, which is pretty cool. And so back to what I was saying about you know, one form of instant manifestation that comes through for me is like, you know, answers, information, questions being asked, which to me I'm so grateful for, and it's just continued to expand and speed up. So yeah, to me that's like one form of I went on a blank for a second because I was kind of feeling into the energy. I think that is what I wanted to say on that. Yeah, because there's, you know, materialism, heavy materialism. I mean, I'm human. I enjoy pleasures of life, and, you know, I love to travel and do and experience new things and, you know, simple luxuries of life. And I love food, really good food. So I'm not saying that all materialism or wanting nice things is bad at all, because I myself like nice things. I'm more saying, like, you know, it really humbled me and helped me. I don't know if humbled is the right word. I'm seeing a white butterfly, or I guess they call them white moths. Maybe it's light yellow. The sunlight is like reflecting on it. Oh, it's coming right to me. It's hard to when I first started asking for, back in whenever this was, 2017, 18, and learning how to quantum leap and all these things and what that means personally, because I think it's, you know, it's a personal thing, and then there's a collectiveness, right? So we each have our unique perspective, blueprint, our unique creation essence that we all then put into the quantum field and bring through. And for me, one of those things was information. And, you know, I'm a very curious person. I like to ask questions. I like to learn. So even if it's just relearning from what, you know, our souls already know or came here to do, or really unlearning things that we've picked up, you know, there's multiple perspectives of looking at it, to me anyway. And so, yeah, that's just one of the things that I feel like I always wanted to talk about is a different form of, you know, quickly manifesting, because I wrote down 111 thoughts manifesting quickly, which I had a really amazing experience a few years back about that, where I was in like a hypnagogic state, like in between sleeping and waking during meditation. And I went into this like 111 portal, if you will. And I think I'll talk about this in a different video, but I just wanted to highlight it because it really does connect into what it means, at least from my experiences of working with the subtle realms and shifting your physical reality, whether that's bringing through information that is in resonance with your highest truth from your heart space, and the collective, in multiple realms and dimensions, and, maybe something more physical. Like, I remember when I was in Hawaii, which, wow, I really had quite the experience there. Like, things were just coming to fruition, like almost instantly, and I'm not being dramatic. And to this day, I still have that experience often, but there was something about Hawaii and an activation there. We can talk about the connections to Hawaii forever, with the Lemurian frequencies and so many different like sacred land connections. I heard in my head the lilikoi, which is a fruit. I actually was meditating one day a couple years ago, and that came through. I'd never heard of a lilikoi, at least if I'm even pronouncing that correctly, at least in this lifetime. And I looked it up, and yeah, it was a fruit in Hawaii, so that could be relevant for someone. But yeah, the lilikoi. Oh, in Hawaii, I remember walking somewhere. I walked down the street, and I was like, I really could use a massage right now. Like, I think I just really need a massage. And I walked back to the place I was staying, and someone, the chef that we had there, it was a retreat. Her sister just happened to be there and was like, oh, does anybody, I'm doing massages today. It was just like things like that. And I was like, yeah, please. So I have like a million examples, but I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. Now back to the dreams and the symbols and the side detour, so quantum leap. Okay, so in my dream the other night, the side detour is very important, because sometimes we go on these, especially when you're getting into like multiple timelines, merging timelines, timeline shifting, like things can feel like really solid is what I want to say, for like a short period of time, and then you're like so sure about something, and then like boom, like 10 different things will happen, and you're like, what is happening here? And to me that's like quite a quite normal part of the process. I was hesitant to use the word normal, but that's what I was feeling. Okay, so some of the dreams and symbols that came through the night that I wrote down that I felt would tie into this was the tesseract, which is a 4D cube. And in my dream, someone said the word tesseract, and I was like, tesseract? And then there was a few more symbols that came up. In the little notes I wrote about the tesseract, it can represent the interconnectedness to all things, consciousness expansion, higher dimensions in the Merkaba. And then when we talk about traversing through these timelines and subtle realms, as we activate or reactivate and expand our Merkaba, our vehicle of light, as it's also known as, that permits more conscious recollection. Because I think people are, always kind of doing this, but if you don't have the consciousness to perceive what is happening, and your Merkaba is not, kind of like grounded into your vessel. And when I say that, I mean it like into your conscious mind, into your cellular structure memory of like integrated Merkaba connection is what I'm getting right now. Then, you may dismiss it, or you may not take it seriously, because, when I was a kid, I had so many experiences. And then, when I got into like my teenage years and then my early 20s, etc., I kind of just like dismissed it and kind of shut down that part of me. I mean, I was still having the experiences, but I just dismissed it and, oh, it's just my dream world. It's nothing, you know, like people were like, oh, it's just a dream. Like, why are you so excited about this? So I'd be like, oh yeah, you're right. It's just a dream. And then, yeah, around like 2017, I kind of had a reawakening into taking it a bit deeper and starting to really explore that, because it was such a big part of me, and I was just like sick of dismissing it, I suppose. And so, yeah, now the next symbol that came through was it looks like when you're on your phone, the star, when you like star 69, if anyone remembers star 69. Oh my god, I forgot about that. Yeah, so it looks like that. And Aster, A-S-T-R, is the prefix for star. So, you know, there's that. And then that day I heard someone say the word asterism, and I was like, oh my god, I need to understand. So in like a gemstone or a crystal, if there's an asterism, you can see like a star. And I was reminded, it was crazy because it was literally the next day, and this reader, I just found her recently, but she's often talking about things that really interest me and that I also do myself. So it's cool to see. And she said the word asterism, and that she had this ring when she was a little kid that was a star sapphire. And then I wrote down lost item returning. It may be in a new way, it may not be the exact same item, but the asterism, the star sapphire, the star in the dream. So when I was a kid, I had this ring and I was obsessed with it. My older sister gave it to me. It was white gold and a blue star sapphire, and I didn't know anything at the time, you know, like details. I just like loved this ring so much, and I like remember looking at it and I would just feel like there was that movie Escape to Witch Mountain, if anyone ever saw that. I think there's multiple versions of it now, but the one I'm talking about was like a brother and a sister. It was probably made in the 90s, and or at least I saw it in the 90s, and they were from a binary star system, and they were telepathic, telekinesis, you know, telekinetic, and each one had their own specific gifts, but they could still like work together with them, and they were similar, but of course expressed in their each unique way. I freaking love that movie. Anyway, so that reminded me of that ring reminded me of that, like, you know, this idea of the well, we could talk about the stars all day, but yeah, so I lost that ring, and I remember I was so upset, like, oh, I can't believe I lost it. I was pretty young. I was like under 12. And I was just so disappointed in myself. But then I was channeling the other day, and I was asking about that. And, you know, they say when something breaks or is lost, it's meant to either you like it fully embodied that and you don't quite need the external version anymore, and or, you know, if it's lost, you know, you got the activation you needed, then it moves on to whoever else is ready to receive it. And I was like, oh, I love that. Thanks. So yeah, that just wanted to come through as well. And the other symbol that I saw was the sun glyph in astrology. And for that, I wrote down solar codes and gold, because it's also the alchemical symbol for gold. And I've been working with the Mahatma energy, which I just wrote about in my community post, so you can look there if you'd like. I just scratched the surface. There is so much to go and talk about in that topic of ORMUS gold, monatomic M-state gold. And I make tinctures utilizing ORMUS gold, but the Mahatma energy I was writing feels like a that, like, I don't know if you want to call it like the high self or the energetic higher realm template, like light code frequency of ORMUS gold. It's like ORMUS gold is the physical manifestation of this Mahatma energy, and the Mahatma energy was said to have been released around the Atlantean times, and some people say it was taken away after the fall of Atlantis, and now it's like been resurfacing in like the last, I think I heard like 50 years or so. Now, is anything really truly gone? I don't think so. But at least for, you know, the masses, or the general use I'm hearing of it. So yeah, that has been coming through a lot, and so that symbol to me really kind of like amplifies that golden frequency, like the liquid white golden plasma light is what I'm hearing. And anytime I bring through like light encoded frequencies in any way, you can always take that as some sort of, if you feel called, transmission or activation. And I do plan on doing actual, like, well, at least recording and sharing them, because I'm already doing them, light code activations and transmissions. But those of us who have been going through these rites of passages, that word samskara is coming up in Indian philosophy about the rites of passages. It's about a lot of things, but that really stuck out to me. And so our voices are being re-encoded with these like light frequencies. So even when we're speaking without necessarily calling something a transmission, it's like always listening to the feeling that you receive from when you're listening, and not just the English word or whatever language you are listening in. And that goes for light language as well. When someone's doing light language transmission, or when I do those, it's really also about evoking some sort of the feeling that you receive, or the physical kinesthetic responses that your body will reflect back, if you know that's something that you are tuned into. Okay, the next symbol that came through is a circle with a horizontal line. And in alchemy, that represents salt. And a note that I found was physical matter of the essence of things in nature, which is cool. It's also the rising sign in astrology. So we have the sun and the rising. That symbol came through probably like the most clear visually in my dream. The test, this feels relevant actually. That was the most visual. So that could be like a clairvoyance activation. And then of course right next to that, I just realized I drew an eye, like a EYE eye. And I wrote portal, deja vu, which has been coming up a lot lately. So maybe you have been experiencing deja vu your whole life. Maybe, you know, it's something that started happening recently. And we all have, I've heard many different perspectives on deja vu. When I tuned into my own channel a few years ago, I'm looking in the sky right now and I'm seeing the clouds are shifting. I was going to say cloud or sky scrying, but I almost said eye scrying by accident. So I scry with my eyes in the mirror. That I think I just posted a video about fire scrying. So I will do one on eye scrying as well. But there's it looks like a bird in the clouds, and I'm just seeing if it has anything to say specifically, this message coming through. No, I heard just like making a note. Now it's like shifting into a rabbit. So I know rabbits can represent, like I'm hearing now is a lucky time. And there's something about I'm seeing a J in the sky, which my name is Jess. So that's kind of cool. And now I'm seeing a T. So these initials can be relevant. Let's see. Yeah, so I know that I've been told before that I'm a bit disorganized when I present in speaking or my readings. I'm just learning to accept who I am, and I tend to be a bit nonlinear, and I just really do open the channel, and whatever comes through I trust. So if you are listening to this and it's kind of all over the place for you, feel free to maybe it's just not your message, and that's okay. And or you can divinate the video by like just tuning into yourself and asking for a specific stamp number, and or just like moving the mouse or the cursor like wherever lands on there. Maybe there's a message there for you. But yeah, I just wanted to add that. I'm seeing a lot of different animals when I look up in the sky. And now like a fish. So these all can be relevant. Now I'm hearing constellations. So, and now I'm hearing blue avians. So if you feel connected to whatever is pulling at you, whether it's the astrology, like, Pisces and the fish, and or a star constellation connecting to the blue avians. That's actually a really good point. I'll have to look that up. Because they say they're in like the much higher realms, so I'm not sure even if they're associated with a specific constellation. Okay. I just saw the number 2532. I don't know if that's relevant. Oh, and 405. That number, it's 405 at my time, 405. And that kept connecting me through to a Syrian being. So the Sirius constellation may be relevant as well. Okay, back to the symbols. So the Tesseract, like I said, came through as a word, and then I looked up the symbol, so that could be like a clairaudient connection. So we have clairvoyance with the salt symbol, and the solar code, actually, the sun glyph came through as more of a knowing, so that could be a claircognizance activation. And yeah, okay. So deja vu, when I tuned into my connection to that, it was kind of showing me, because I've been having deja vu since I was a child. And I remember sitting on the toilet. My mom used to work at night, and I like couldn't sleep at night when I was a kid. And I just remember sitting down and saying, Mom, like, and I started telling her about my experience, and she's like, oh, that's deja vu. And I was like, what's that? And she was like, well, it's what you're explaining. But of course I had like a million more questions. So when I learned about channeling and starting to channel, I asked, and I was basically shown, at least from my high self's perspective, of being kind of like right in alignment with your highest blueprint path. So when you remember something, it's like it was something that you and the astral realms or the higher realms had like encoded yourself to remember, to know that you're in alignment with your highest blueprint. And I remember my friend and I were discussing this, and she was saying for her, it comes through as like being stitched back into the current reality. Like if you feel like you traveled somewhere, or, and then it's like when you stitch back into reality, into that reality, it like has a little bit of an overlap, which was a really fun and resonant for me. So I don't think it's maybe always one way. I think there's multiple, of course, perspectives and experiences. But looking up the original translation of déjà vu, the French word, I used to know this, and now it just flew out of my mind. So if anyone is listening to this, please feel free to put that in the comments, because I have looked it up so many times and it just left my brain. So yeah. I also wrote down under the I, when I said portal déjà vu, Aldebaran, which is a royal star. So that could be something relevant for someone. And I'm hearing the Archangel Raphael frequency, which is really connected to the heart, and the color green. I wrote down the Crab Nebula, and yeah, so any of those things could be connecting. All of these words, phrases, names, constellations, I plan to continue going deeper with everything as time goes on. I've just honestly been wanting to share stuff for so long, and just was working through my own some people call them limiting beliefs, or just making sure that I felt really ready. It's been a really big fear of mine, actually, to speak and to share in this way. So I feel like I'm kind of, there's an oracle card in the Colette Baron Reid Animal Oracles, the frog clear out the clutter, and that's what I'm kind of doing. Not that this is like clutter per se, but I feel like I just have to start, and whatever comes through. My right ear just started to ring, and as that continues, I'm excited to continue going deeper with all of these things. But for now, I'm just sharing what's coming through, like I said. Okay, the next symbol that came through, I kept seeing the crescent moon, like everywhere. Like symbolism, the moon, actually, it was really cool. I usually moon scry or moon gaze, and I realized that it was cloudy. I hadn't seen the moon in a couple of days, and I was like, oh, I feel like I haven't seen the moon. But the crescent moon, I kept seeing the symbolism like over and over again. And then, like, I don't know, sometime that week, the day after, I was like, oh, I feel like I haven't seen the moon, like, physically. I just happened to be sitting in the kitchen where I'm staying, and I turned around, and it was almost as if, like, I know it's like the movie in Bruce Almighty when the moon, like, he like pulls it closer. It's like right there. I turned around and I could just see it perfectly through the window, and it was like right after a new moon, so it almost looked like a crescent moon, and it was like lit up gold, and it was like I could see it like colors coming off of it. There was I think it was like a violet and a blue color, and it was just so pretty, and it was like right there. And like that day or the day before, I had just said like I hadn't seen the moon, and it was just like hello. You know. Anyway, so the crescent moon kept popping up, and so I wrote down the word ethereal, the color silver, which has been coming through in many different ways. I just heard aura, so. And there's something called silver lightning. Lightning has also been coming through a lot lately, which is connected to Uranus for me, like that Uranus lightning fast change energy. Especially after like a tough Pluto transit. You might have like Uranian energy come in, just like, you know, really break through any stuck or lingering energy. And the silver lightning energetic frequency came through for me a couple years back when I was meditating, and I like to use it in sessions and for myself. And it was allegedly when I was connecting with the Arcturus and Antares Stargate. I did not mean to say Stargate. I meant to say something else, but yeah, Stargates have also been coming up a lot lately, so that could be relevant. And it always comes through for me as silver lightning. So that's probably why I wrote it right next to the moon. You know, breaking up that unconscious stuff, subconscious things. I actually just made a new tincture with the ORMUS Gold and some crystals and this beautiful magenta carnation that I found on the ground. It was really magical because I wanted to make a new tincture, but I had made so many, and I make them and I have a hard time like promoting myself and selling, but I just love making them. So I have so many, they last for 10 years, which is amazing. At least 10 years, because I preserve them in brandy. And I was like, okay, if I'm meant to make this tincture, it was on the last full moon, I was like, I'm going to want to use a flower, so let it just show up then. And I just happened to go for a walk. I walk a lot. I take a lot of walks, and I went for a walk the day of the full moon, and there was this like freshly beautiful magenta. I didn't know what it was, but I figured out it was a carnation. I had a feeling, but I wasn't sure. It almost looked like a peony too, but it was a carnation. And the magenta ray, you know, the liquid light magenta ray kept coming through. So it was really cool that it showed up as a magenta flower. And so I made the tincture. And anyway, I've been taking it, and I feel like it's been really potent in like any like subconscious. Now I'm seeing the black-eyed Susan. I didn't use that, but the symbolism of the black-eyed Susan, one of the things I found was hidden light, like bringing things that are hidden to light. And I feel like that is what this tincture has been really potent for. It's really like, one, the synchronistic magical experience of even making it, and two, just bringing through with this crescent moon, you know, the hidden light. And so I looked up the crescent moon cycle meaning, and it said release, rest, surrender, and recharge, which I loved. And then I was getting the high priestess, like in tarot. So a lot of these hidden secrets coming to light. A woman just walked by me and said something about a train station. So maybe someone's on the train or planning to take a train. There could be something about, a station, a train. Oh, I also had a dream last night about something about Japan. There's a lot of talks about Japan and the sea. So Japan could be relevant. And I know in Japan they have those like high bullet speed trains, which I cannot wait to get on one day. So yeah. Okay. Now, I wrote down some other things that I just want to see what was coming through. Okay, there was something about the lupine wolf, so, which is Latin, lupus, the lupus constellation. Am I saying that right? Yeah, the wolf constellation. So there's not a ton of information on that, and it came through my dream, actually. I want to say, I don't know, maybe a year ago, and I just heard a horn. It was a really, really, really great dream, and I was in like a foresty area with my sister, my younger sister, and my one of my oldest friends, and they're not as much into these type of things, so when I have conversations with them, it's kind of funny. Anyway, in the dream, they were like talking to me, and I was like hearing like direct, like I was channeling in the dream, and I felt like I had to go be by myself because I knew that I didn't think they were like ready for that or wanted to partake. And so I went outside, and I was just getting like direct channeling information. And I went to sit with these really tall, beautiful, dark green trees. It was nighttime, and a wolf approached me, but it was bipedal. It was, meaning standing on its legs like humans do. And it started to speak to me telepathically. And it looked like a wolf, but it was like a humanoid wolf. I just heard another horn. And this is before I knew about this constellation. Like, I wound up looking that up after, and it is a constellation, and apparently there's these beings that other people have brought through as well. Yeah, I believe they call them the lupines, Lupine. And yeah, if you want to look it up, you can totally do so. But they were showing me something about echolocation, and working with echolocation in terms of communication. And they were talking about my channeling abilities, and they were actually just like giving me a lot of compliments, which it's really weird for me to say, but that's just what the dream was. And like, basically, because at the time I think I was very like, I still am, I'm still working through that, but really hesitant to like put myself out there and talk about this stuff. And I do, and I have, but it's been a very seemingly slower process, if you will. And yeah, I think it was just like a really great experience for me. So I don't know if anyone else has had this experience, but yeah, I just wanted to connect it in because it felt relevant. And I was really grateful to connect with these beings because it was really cool. And then once I started looking it up, I only found a few other things, but apparently this constellation is very ancient, and like I said, there's not a lot of information about it or mythology, at least that I could find. So yeah, if anyone knows more about it, please feel free to share. But I'd have to go back into the recording that I shared because there was more information that came through, but for now, this is all that wants to come through on that. Let's see. I was finding a lot of coins as well, so specifically pennies, so that could be relevant. And they usually say, it's connected to the angelic realms. Messages from the angelic realms. And yeah, I see LLL a lot on license plates, and they say angels was originally actually the word angles, and so like angles of light, and L, I'm hearing a horn, L in the shape a right angle in geometry. So that actually feels really relevant, and I want to do like a whole thing on that sometime. Like, I want to keep, there's so much to talk about there, but I just wanted to touch on that in case that's relevant for someone. Also, right, the swan kept coming through the Cygnus grid. I did not mean to say grid, but the Cygnus constellation, which they say is indigo angel. I've learned a lot of my more higher ascension mechanics terms and grid work from her. She's really great for terminology, and she puts like a lot of dedication and time into her work. So yeah, indigo angel, she calls herself. So I'm really grateful for her because I was getting a lot of these messages myself, and when I was asking more questions and validation, I was led to her because she's really like taken the time to like not even break things down, but just like bring through this information. So I think those of us who are also receiving it, like I was saying earlier, I don't know why this keeps coming up, but this hesitation to like learn from others. And I think because when I first started, consciously channeling, it was like some of the people that I looked up to, like Cryon and who was Lee Carroll, and some other beings like, why is her name escaping me right now? Esther Hicks, different ones over the years. It was like a lot of them did not research. They only brought through a channel. So I had this inner conflict of like, well, why do I love researching if I also, channel? So, and not just conscious channeling, but I also do a lot of, dream work. Like I get a lot of messages in my dreams and astral traveling. There's so many different ways that information comes through. And I'm so, instead of being so upset about that, like in the past, I would get very confused and like just thinking I was incorrect or not doing things like right. But I think this whole idea of following your own unique blueprint, I receive information in so many beautiful ways. And instead of trying to box myself in or, being boxed in from other people, I'm really learning to just allow all the different mediums that messages come through and information, and just let it flow as it goes. And so maybe someone needed to hear that because it was coming through really strongly. Excuse me. So when I burp, I'm usually clearing some sort of energy. So that's actually a very good sign. And now I'm seeing a really tiny white feather float by me. I think it's a feather. It just went right over my head. So there may be a crown chakra a crown chakra activation happening as well. I actually heard in my head soul star. So it could be a soul star activation that's filtering in through the crown. And I just heard a horn, so it sounds like a good confirmation to me. Okay, so now some physical body tension that I've been feeling lately. If you're a woman, ovary pain, and not everyone can identify specifically ovary, but just somewhere in that space. Our ovary, we have, one on the right, one on the left. So, this is very specific. So someone here may have Mittelschmerz, which is when you can feel your ovulation. It's like, they can say it's equivalent to labor pain. I actually first got that when I was a teenager. And it was so painful. But I've really worked with my body and my cycle, so now it's not nearly as painful. It's more of like an awareness that I'm experiencing that. So yeah, that could be for someone. And I'm seeing I wrote down the word kundalini, so there could be these, I feel like if anyone who's listening to this is already activated in their kundalini journey or experience, but sometimes like what I've found, and I'm not, 100% saying that this is the only way, not at all. This is just my experiences and from my studies and stuff and my experiences, like speaking to others, it's an amalgamation of different perspectives. Like when we have like a flow of that energy, like awakened, there will be like things that happen in life or obstacles, like literally like energetic obstacles or memories or traumas in our body. And it can like, instead of like flowing freely, it may like feel like it's kind of stuck in one area, which for me has caused pain. I remember there's this one woman, I'm hearing an ambulance. I always send love when I hear ambulances, but for me and a lot of other people I've heard, is connected to the Archangel Michael frequency. And I say frequency because, everyone's relationship with an angelic name or being can be different. So it doesn't always have to be like a personified version of that. And, Archangel Michael, they say they're messengers, right? And Michael, I believe, represents the sword of truth. So so through the Kundalini path and spiral, I did not mean to say spiral. They're showing me the spine and how we have the different vertebra, and it's like the front of the spine and then the back of the spine, and it actually looks like spirals if you look at it from the side profile. So it's like the Kundalini flow, like spiraling around the spine, not just up and down, is what I'm being shown right now. And these different energetic, I actually heard in my head like time holders. So it's like if it's not flowing if in a specific area, there's a time and a place where you can release that, but don't try to force things before it's ready, because just kind of like set intentions and work with the energy of release, and trust that it will be released in that time, because part of it could be released, a whole part of it, small part of it. There's different reasons, of course. So that's one moment I first started really getting into this, when I was doing, oh my God, there's so many sirens. I was doing, it's sort of like a hypnosis regression. I kind of started doing, I call it intuitive dimensional body work, but it's an intuitive practice of taking people into a deeper altered state and, bringing through, sometimes I channel, sometimes they bring through things, or it's a combination. And so this one woman, she kept having this back pain behind her heart for like 30 years or something. And then when we went in, she said she had tried to do this before and wasn't getting anything. That there's a lot of people that feel connected to the Lyra Vega wars, and I really didn't want to, but we're still figuring out our galactic history and our cosmology, and the origins of humans and the earth and our connection to galactic consciousness. So I wanted to proceed carefully, but what came through was that it was basically a trauma wound that was energetically, personally for her and collectively. And we worked through it, and she messaged me later and said that after that, the pain subsided. So it was pretty magical. And when we say magical, of course, magic is just something we maybe don't have all of the words to understand. And since then, I have done a lot of digging into that. So that is something I could speak more on, but I still like to use the word magical because I just do. Okay, let's see what's next. Yeah, so some tension. Speaking of, I was saying the upper neck, especially if you are aligning with some of the things that are coming through here, you may feel like there's that weight of the world on your shoulders, or that burden of feeling like no one understands you, or there's so much to be done and you feel like you carry it alone. I'm hearing another horn confirmation. And so simple neck rolls, and learning to release the burdens, because I know I go through this too, or just being a sponge and picking up other people's tension. It can really sit on our upper neck and shoulders. And I was in the bathroom the other day, and sometimes I'll just see little visions come in, and there was a being sitting cross-legged and doing neck rolls, which I've been doing a lot of lately. So yeah, maybe doing some neck rolls, and it doesn't have to be 3 hours of dedication. If you're starting to feel the tension, just maybe sit for a nice 10 seconds and just do 2 or 3 slow neck rolls on either side. And I love gua sha when you are scraping in English. I believe it's gua sha in Korean, and you of course there's a million videos on YouTube you can look up, but just scraping out that tension in the upper neck, and really anywhere else in your body, but I'm getting right now the upper neck and shoulders. So yeah, that wanted to come through. Okay. I was about to say clairaudiently, clear hearing. I was meditating the other day, and I heard the sound of a rattle, and I was there was no one around me. I wasn't, and I've had these experiences before. It was 100% not something in the physical. And in the shamanic traditions, they use rattles for different clearing modalities, and they can symbolize different things in Native American traditions. So yeah, you may be having ear ringing, or I call it pressure or frequency shifting, where you can almost when you're on a plane, but you're not on a plane, and that starts to happen a lot. So if that's already happening to you, working with rattles may help. Looking up symbolism of rattles, and or maybe you're a sound healer and you already work with rattles. This is just a confirmation to expand on that. or to maybe make your own rattle. But yeah, and there's something about like ancestral lineages and getting into knowing more about your own ancestral lineage, like blood and etheric, as well as working with the ancestral karma. Like if you're already doing this, then it's probably a sign that you just cleared something pretty big. So I heard congratulations, pat on the back, and as soon as I said that, the sun just started to like beam, like really bright, which is wonderful. And yeah, now I'm being taken to Venus and like the higher realms. They say there's like the 7 higher heavens or the 7 higher realms in the Venusian sphere, like in anthroposophy, for example. So that could be relevant as well. I'm being shown not to go too much into that right now because I think I want to do like a whole thing on that, but I just wanted to kind of be known. And also the Sisterhood of the Roses, which I wrote next to Venus, or the Cosmic Roses. There's a few different names. The Rose Ray lineage, that very feminine high priestess, empress, wisdom keeper frequency. And you don't have to be a woman to be associated with this. It's like a feminine energy. You know, the Sophia feminine pearlescent Christ stream. Let me see what else. Yeah, I feel like I could keep going for years, but oh, peach in the dream also. There was something about a peach aura that came through. I was shown that the connection to a peach aura. So that could be relevant for someone. And when I looked it up, it can signify inner peace, warmth, health, empathy, intuition, and the elements fire and wood. So yeah, that was really cool. And I've been really drawn to the color peach, or like shades of that. So yeah, if you've been drawn to that as well, that could be connecting you to an aspect of your own aura or someone very close to you. Oh, I also wrote down the elementals. That's been coming through a lot lately. Okay, now I'm going to tie this all together before I end. I thought I was going to end, but I just wanted to add one more thing. So the idea of quantum leaping and astrology, the connection to astrology. So I'm really hesitant to share this, but I had this experience where I was shown in a reading. Well, I was shown signs and symbols for a while that I've done this multiple times, but one of the times that I was about to quantum leap and shift timelines. And then this one reader who's really great, I listened to a reading and she was like, yeah, you're like shifting, you're quantum leaping and you're transcending your zodiac wheel. And it was so crazy because I was using the Time Passages app for astrology for myself, and then if I did a reading, I would save the client's information in there because I had the pro version. Now this is on my old phone that I had just recently lost, like last week. I just lost my phone. And so I felt like anyway, so I opened, this was maybe like a year ago, I opened my Time Passages, and it was either right before or right after that reading about the zodiacal transcendence and quantum leaping, I'm hearing a bird right now, I don't know if you can hear it. I looked at my chart and I knew my chart very well, and it was different. Everything shifted a house except my 7th house. But it went from the beginning. I had one planet, my Chiron in Gemini, in the beginning of the house, and it was at the end of the house. And the planets, the signs were all the same, but they all shifted one house. And I swear to you, I checked, to make sure my information was right, that something didn't happen. Like I checked the, whole house sign or all the different things. And it was different. And I still, I can't prove it now because my phone was lost. And anyway, I'm only saying this because I was being shown again that I was shifting timelines again. I mean, I think we're always shifting timelines, but I mean like noticeable physical reality differences. And so I got this new phone and I was like, oh my God, my time passages app. And so I re-downloaded it and it was back to my original chart. And I remember because I had found my original chart in emails that I had sent to readers in the past to give me readings. And a big crow or raven just landed right near me. And it's like, and now a fly just buzzed in my left ear. Oh, there's another crow or raven flying right by me. You might be able to hear it. Okay, so that could be a sign for someone. I've been seeing them a lot lately. And now I'm seeing I'm seeing light language coming through the sun. It's like red, like almost a highlighter, yellow, green. I'm seeing white, blue. And there's these different like symbols that they're being shaped in. Okay, so I am really just sharing this to see maybe if anyone else has experienced it I was very hesitant to share this because sometimes these metaphysical things, we don't have 100% proof, even though I found my old chart. And then of course, I downloaded time passages on my new phone because my old phone, nothing was backed up. I had to get a new number. It's like a whole thing. That's another thing. Completely new number. I had this other phone number for so many years. And anyway, all that to say, there was synchronicity in that too. But so I download, the time passages app. Boom, my original chart is there. And I'm like, oh my God, I was really hard on myself. Like, what if I just like typed it in wrong? And so I started looking up different combinations of like little mistakes I could have made to see if I could find that chart. And I couldn't find any. I only tried maybe like 7. If I did AM instead of PM, or if I did the wrong year or whatever. But like, I really did check multiple times. Anyway, so back to my original chart, and I kept getting the message for like a year, trust in divine detours. And it was like showing me that I like went on this like detour timeline, and then basically it was like restoring back the original timeline in some way. And I was having a lot of dreams about this too, about portals and timelines, and I have so much to share on that. It's like literally I've been recording for like 2 years almost every night of dreams of information. But anyway, and then recently I heard a different reader talk about, I like listening to other readers because it helps confirm things that come through my own channel and my own dreams and my own experiences. And so one reader was like, yeah, there was something about like you're shifting timelines and you kind of like had to detour off of the original timeline, and then like you're coming back to it. And that was probably like a month ago, and I literally just remembered that. And then when I saw my original chart, then it's like I said, oh my God, what if I made a mistake? And this whole time I thought my chart shifted, but really I just like put in the wrong thing. And then I was like, or what if it really did shift and I wasn't crazy, and then it went back because like I couldn't hack it on that. I went through all these like little freakouts. It actually could have lasted like months. Like in the past version of me would have been like, but it was only a few minutes. I went through my things and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take it. It's fun. It's exciting, at least for me. And like whether or not, it's just something to talk about. And it still came with so many like experiences and dreams and synchronicities and things that I feel like it's worth talking about. So I'm not here saying like, you have to believe me or this is 100% truth, because, I feel like I did my due diligence when I had the other chart and I looked it up and I really checked the stuff, and everything seemed, this was like a year-long process, and then boom, it's just back to the other chart. So it is a little weird that it's when I lost my number and lost my phone that it switched again, but I didn't have a phone for maybe like 4 days, 5 days. Anyway, but every time I get those messages and synchronistic experiences, then something will show up in the physical, or multiple things to show me that something really has shifted. And, this has happened many other times as well, that I will probably share in other times, and I believe I've written about some of these things on my blog on my website. So yeah, I just wanted to end that with the quantum leaping and astrological connection with dreams and the symbols. So if you got this far, and yeah, I just invite you to feel free to share in the comments about your own experiences, or you can reach out to me if you are feeling a little bit more private. I believe I have my information in the like YouTube about me portion. Yeah, so thanks, and that's all for now. So I believe, it started the recording over. I'll have to figure out how to do this. Maybe this will be a part 2. Okay, so I was talking about the High Priestess and hidden secrets coming to light, and it's funny because someone walked up and I just paused. I tried to pause. Okay, so I was talking about all the different symbolism that came through, and excuse me, the circle obviously came through twice, and then the spiral. They wrote down circle to spiral, and the ultraviolet fire flame. In the dream, it was also speaking of ceremonial work, and I love doing ceremonial work. You know, I really try to make like my life ceremonial in general, but I love like doing activation ceremonies, plant medicine ceremonies, and yeah, I feel like I haven't done one like for people in a while, so that was coming through. So maybe for someone here, if that's something you feel called to, whether it's receiving, giving, or both, that might be something to tune into more, you know. And okay, the Aurora Soul Matrix. Okay, so a lot of the like time matrix that has been being perceived through most, you know, the collective conscience. I keep saying that word, the collective consciousness. Why am I having a hard time saying that? Okay, so the spiral, you know, it's like when they're showing me I'm being shown right now, like the circle, when you look at a circle, but then when you look at it multidimensionally, it's really like, then you get the view of the spiral of this like a galaxy, you know, and the idea of expanding our consciousness, and or, you know, a lot of people talk about entering the 5th dimension, et cetera, et cetera. It's like this expansion of our soul matrix in terms of like embodying more of our soul essence and expanding our relationship with time. You know, a lot of people say time is an illusion. Something just flew into my mouth. I think it was my hair. And it's like, yes. And when we have our relationship with time come into question, and, you know, then we start to go through these rites of passages and integrations and activations and clearing our cellular DNA structures and kind of reprogramming our relationship with our environment, at least personally, and from a lot of people I have heard, our relationship with time shifts. And I believe that's kind of what was coming through with this circle to spiral. Now, when it comes to what a soul matrix is, I have so much that I want to say about that, and I was actually making notes earlier today on this topic that came through another dream that I had and another channel that I did, which I will definitely go more into detail. I'm so excited about it. So yeah, that wanted to come through in terms of that, and just a, you know, remembrance that I remember one of my mentors who was amazing and really helped me so much. She would always say, like, healing is nonlinear. And then once I started doing research, I realized a lot of people, that seems to be a common theme, and it's so important to remember, because when you come through with the lens of a spiral instead of a circle, you know, it really does help you see like the different points of connection and the different points of experiences that truly become nonlinear. So if you're ever feeling like rough on yourself or, really judging yourself or something, remember like this is not a linear like experience. It's it really does expand and like spiral instead of just a straight line. I'm just looking at my notes to see what else I wrote down. There were a lot of number sequences coming through. So you might be someone who sees like a lot of repeating numbers, whether that's like, the same number repeating and or just a number sequence repeating. The ones that were coming through really strongly that I wrote down, I believe I already mentioned ones. 111, 1111. I was seeing 6666 right before I wrote these notes down. 333, 777, 999. Yeah. So that could be some of the numbers that you're seeing. I actually also I think I already mentioned animals that were coming through I was seeing when I was scrying. But I had written down a couple here. A wasp was coming through. And I wrote down the word energetic buzz. Oh, that's right. So I heard a buzz in my ear, but there was nothing around me. So, no, wait, that was a different animal. My apologies. The wasp was physically around me, and I heard the word energetic when it buzzed. There's a plane going over. Maybe someone's going to be traveling soon. I hope me. I hope everyone here who wants to travel gets to travel. But yeah, that could be a message for someone. I also heard in my head, life is speeding up. And when we were talking about time a few minutes ago, I'm kind of getting like when you're really in the flow of something and you really are enjoying it, when you get into that quantum space, it like time like flies. So when something is slow, like time is like really slowing down, I don't think it's a moment to judge yourself or to say, oh, well, I'm not in alignment because I'm not doing what I love. I also think sometimes we need those times of being slow. We need to feel sometimes like, at least at this time space reality. So yeah, just know like it's also bringing awareness too of showing you, yeah, maybe it is something that isn't in alignment anymore that's time to let go, or maybe it's just time needs to be slow for you for that moment to work through something, to let yourself relax. There's so many different perspectives of why these things could be happening. So I don't want to just like give a few words and say, okay, well, time is speeding up, so every time it feels fast and you're in alignment. I mean, I really truly think sometimes we need things to feel slow. At least that's my perspective. So yeah, I think it's like an invitation to maybe release the judgments and continue following that inner guidance system of what feels good for you and what your own inner being is trying to show you. And I think that will help navigate through these times of time these times of, yeah, like time really like kind of showing itself to you, like in astrology, Saturn, I've heard Saturn be called Father Time. So you could be going through like a heavy Saturn transit and or just have a lot of Saturn in your chart, but there's something about working with the energy of time. The other animal that came through was the goose, the owl. I've been seeing owls everywhere. And I kept hearing in my head the aardvark. Hold on one second.